All right, welcome everybody to Stack Hunters. We have a fun show tonight. I've got Tod Burros at Best Ball NFL on with me, a good friend of mine for many, many years. Tod and I go back. I don't even know if I can count how many years we go back, but it's a long way. Tod is going to help me out drafting a big board draft on Underdog today. So really excited about that. But first off, I want to just welcome Tod in. And Tod, why don't you let us know a little bit about yourself, where your stuff is found, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think you and I probably joined Twitter right around the same time. And, we used to have this really close group of people. And I definitely miss those days. It was a gentler time on Twitter, far less political, far less, you had people who all they cared about was getting ahead, but they were the minority, right? And all of us were just kind of glad to be able to talk football with our friends, our new friends online. It was like that old video with the girl, the bee girl, where she finally at the end of the video found a bunch of other bees. No Rain, I guess that was called by Blind Melon. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to be
Nice
here.
ball.
I've been doing best ball as my primary focus for many years, as you know. I'm working with Sharp Football right now, and I'm doing this new thing that I've developed. It's called confidence rankings. So everyone knows what rankings are. And I've always found that they really are more set up for season-long drafts if you're only doing a couple than for the, really kind of intense way that you draft a best ball portfolio. So I've developed with Ray Summerlin's help, something called confidence rankings. So basically about 50% of the players are neutral. And every week we put in the actual Underdog ADP. So it's not my ADP. You're looking at Underdog's ADP. And then the players are all rated in one of 5 categories. Neutral, which is about 50%. And then there's about 5% that are buy. Buys mean that I'm willing to draft a player a full tier ahead of where he's going. Maybe even 2 tiers, but I would never draft someone 2 tiers ahead unless they're a very late pick, because you don't need to. And we also call that target now. They've changed it. So the other thing is a value. A value is someone who I think highly of within the tier he's being drafted. I will reach a few picks for that player. If he's around a bunch of neutrals, there's a good chance I'll draft the value. And then on the lower end, there's caution, which is pretty much the opposite of value. That's a guy who I'm pretty much not drafting unless he falls a tier. Now, if he's going to complete a stack, I'll draft him possibly within the tier that he's going. But in general, I only want to get those players when I can get some kind of extra value. And then there's avoid players. Avoid players are people who, to make it simple, I wouldn't draft unless they fell further than I ever expect them to fall. So I'm not going to get any of those guys unless their ADP changes. So I feel, Dan, that really helps people to more understand exactly how to draft and how I draft than just putting out rankings.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, Tod, because that's basically how you need to think if you want to be successful in best ball. You've got to be thinking about which players are really the values and being able to hammer those while you stay away from others. And I like how early on in your rankings it's a little bit more neutral, because you don't want to be completely shut out in the first couple rounds from most of the players. You want to have
very few players have anything. They might be a couple targets and a couple cautions, but you got to take all those early players. Fading them, if you're wrong, can really, really ruin a season.
Yep, definitely. So I really like what Tod's put together there. I strongly encourage you to check it out. It's over on Sharp Football. If you need the link, Todd can certainly provide it for you. All you need to do is just catch him on the X machine, and he will help you out with that. And
by the way, Dan,
yes.
I do want to say that I'm glad you asked me to do a big board draft with you, because I was big bored today.
There we go. The dad jokes have already started. So, if you know me and Todd,
crack my neck now.
Yeah, they're going to be coming at a furious pace. So we're going to go ahead and get entered on a big board here, and hopefully this is going to show up for both me and Todd. But we are entered. The draft is the draft is starting. And so I'm going to let Todd fill while I work on getting it set up so that you, the viewer, can also see the board.
That's great. I'm glad we got the 7, because I have a tier break after player 7. And I've got Bijan a half tier below the top 7, and then I've got a full tier break. So very happy with the 7 pick, Dan.
Yeah, I like the 7. It's a nice one. I've actually had a lot of 6s and 7s lately. I don't know what it is, but you know how that goes. It just sometimes seems to run in stretches. So I've been sitting in the middle of the draft almost every time the past few that I've done. So I'm comfortable here.
I have been getting mostly top 3 or bottom 3.
Okay.
Right? So on FFPC, and I know you are also a fan of that site. I've been getting some 12s, and no one likes the 12.
Yeah, I've over on FFPC. I've been getting a better mix. Just seems like Underdog lately has been kind of going towards the center of the board for me, but that happens. It always seems to reverse itself eventually, so no big deal. All right.
Anyone in the first round, the first 7 picks that you really don't like as much as their ADP, Dan? Just curious.
There's nobody that I really hate there. I'd say Justin Jefferson is probably the one I'm a little bit skeptical on. But
and that's who we got.
That's who we got. So we are up. We have Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Puka, AJ Brown, but I have no problem going Jefferson here.
Nope. I'll fill the queue.
Okay.
And then you tell me if I didn't.
Yep.
So, all right. So I got 9 names, and we're 10 away. So that means we need 2 more. I like Devontae, but I got a ton of them. I would leave Drake London out and go with Devontae and Achane. But if you like London there, I am, that's the fun of drafting with someone else.
Yeah, I don't mind London there at all, but let's see.
All right, I'll put him in.
Let's see what happens.
I'm okay with any of them.
I have seen London go before this pick several times, so it's not even a sure bet that he might make it to us.
I mean, he was going in the 4th round before the Kirk Cousins news, and that's not just a 2-round rise. That is like the equivalent of 4 rounds late.
Right. And that's what should give us pause about it. I worry a little bit less about if somebody's risen or dropped, because you got to win the rest of the draft too. But we don't have to worry about it because somebody's already taken London off our hands. So
I'm okay with either of the 2 here, Dan. Positionally, especially when I draft with someone I don't draft that much with, I try and stay even on positionally. But which one do you like?
Let's go Achane here.
Yeah, I probably should have thrown Aiyuk in there too.
Yeah, I'm okay with Aiyuk, but you know what? If he stays in San Francisco, I think he's being overdrafted here.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like that Deebo is now a value because
Right.
he so
Yeah, Deebo is the one I've been drafting between the two pretty much every time.
yeah, and Kittle has fallen. So
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a big Kittle drafter because he's always drafted as if he's consistently targeted when he isn't because he has these monster games. But he's fallen far enough. Where is he? He's now tight. He's going after Pitts, after Kincaid. He's going pick 69 and a half. And the next guy is Ingram and then Brock Bowers. I think Kittle is a really good choice there now because we've seen what happens when one of those two guys, one of the three of them gets injured, that the other two feast. So if Aiyuk does get traded, I like Deebo and Kittle.
Yes, absolutely, and that's a great point about Kittle because a lot of people are just too down on him anyway. With the format, Kittle's spike weeks work really well. With Kittle, you probably want to make sure you've got a little bit more steady Eddie tight end to go with him. But yeah, he's a player I don't mind drafting at all at ADP. All right, we're up. Who are you liking out of these three? I would say for me, it's probably either Pittman or Laporta. I could be talked into Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I would have taken Henry if we hadn't taken HN.
Right. All right,
I'm okay with you making this choice.
Yep. All right. Choice got made for us. I was a half a beat slow on.
Sorry. Devonta Smith is kind of interesting because there was some rumors about A.J. Brown being traded. This is also a really good spot in the draft to draft with someone else. And I'm sorry, a friend kept texting me and I had to tell them that I was tied up. This is because you get a good amount of and this draft is flying.
It is. I did one this afternoon. It took a full hour, and this one is going to be done in like half an hour. So
yeah, and if someone is listening to the pod, less chance for me to over talk. So I think that this is probably good for you.
Yep, there you go. That's the key right there. All right, so.
So I really like. I still think there's a chance T. Higgins gets traded. I'm okay. I don't have any big favorite here. I'm not really looking to take Lamar without. I mean, you could go Lamar. We don't have a tight end yet, and hope Andrews makes it back. Or Higgins or Rice. I'm good with all three of those guys.
How about Odunze? What do you think of him here?
I haven't drafted him yet.
Why don't we change that?
All right.
Let's draft him.
Okay.
I like Odunze. I think he's a decent value here. As a wild card where he's going to end up, but it seems like he's probably going to avoid the Giants, and if he can avoid the Bears as well, where there's just probably a little bit too much competition for targets, then I think Odunze is probably going to be a really, really nice pick because I think he's a super strong prospect, and so wherever he lands, he's going to land on his feet.
I didn't like his tape as much as his ADP, which is why I haven't drafted him. But Matt Harmon loves him. You love him. A lot of people I know like him. So I think it's good that I broke my Rome Odunze virginity on your show.
Yes, we'll have to clean that up in a bit, but it's good that we did that. All right,
clean it up. I mean, oh, I'm sorry.
Never mind, Todd.
Bad news.
Anyway, all right. So
I forgot this is for a real outfit.
Right. Okay, looks like you've got the queue well filled for us here. Any particular players that you're hoping that we can hit as we come
I'm
up
never
on
a Joe Mixon guy, but boy, he's going to have a lot of opportunity.
Yep.
I like Mark Andrews here.
Mm-hmm.
I like Cooper here. Pickens, I like Christian Kirk, half PPR, probably a little less.
Yep.
But and same thing with Marquise Brown, probably a little less. We could reach for Anthony Richardson to go with Pittman. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's a strong idea. I'm guessing that probably the Lamar Jackson drafter is going to take Andrews here. No, he does not. Yeah, I think of the players we have: Andrews, Mixon, or Richardson. Who's your favorite of the three?
Um, I kind of like the stack with Richardson,
Let's do it.
and I think Kittle or Pitts will make it back to us.
All right, I like that. I don't have very much Anthony Richardson, so this is
I
good
don't
for
either,
me.
to be honest. I don't have a lot of Pittman either, and the reason isn't that I just think that I think they're being, I think Pittman's at his ceiling. And we keep hearing rumors that they want a wide receiver, so we could end up with Odunze there if they move up a little bit and they get him. I don't like drafting the top two options on a team this early with the quarterback, so I hope that doesn't happen.
Right.
But I do think that one of the most underrated parts, and I think it's something that's missing from my confidence rankings, is you really need to know where the value is on the draft board positionally. And there's a lot of value at tight end right now. So that's why I didn't mind reaching a little for Richardson, because we added the stack to make up some of that value. And we're going to get a tight end here, I thought. Maybe not.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate Kittle shot there.
Oh, well. Well, you know what? I really like Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I'm also good with Jones. Let's
I
see.
mean, Walker is, ahead of
Yep.
him. So I'm okay with Walker if you want him. I'm okay
No,
with Brian Thomas, Deontay, or Aaron Jones.
no, I think let's go Aaron Jones here. I think that's our pick.
I think he is really underrated. I think that, running on that fast turf in Minnesota versus what he's run on most of his career, and he's shown that he has a big ceiling while not getting a full workload. So I think Ty Chandler also has value. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think Chandler's an underrated later pick because a lot of things can happen. I mean, Aaron Jones could get hurt again or whatever. So if he does, I think Chandler's probably got the inside track to a lot of carries. And I like the fact that so now we've got a little bit of a Viking stack going. We've got a little bit of an Indy stack going. And so these are some things we can start to play off of. And look for players that fit our build that are playing in the same division as those two teams. I like doing that just because it helps to with the schedule being unknown yet, but we do know that division teams often play each other right towards the end of the schedule, the last 3 or 4 weeks. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
And normally people think of it as negative EV to take the number one running back and wide receiver on a team. But we're not talking about a guy in the first and third round. We're talking about the first and the sixth round. And if you think about the way that you try and differentiate yourself in these kind of best ball tournaments, let's finish that thought after we talk about this next pick. I like Brock Bowers here if we can get him.
yep. That's a
Um,
good one. Christian Watson fits in with our NFC North theme a little bit.
I'm good with
Uh,
that. I don't have much of him, but I've been meaning to add some. We definitely don't want Addison no matter what. That would be overkill.
Yeah, I think so. That's kind of how I see it. Okay, Bowers just went. We're up. Looking at the players we have in the queue, I think it's probably Watson.
Okay. All right. So while I do, why don't you add to the queue this time, and I'll
Okay.
finish that thought if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah.
So if you think about this is what I've been pondering a lot about lately: how to differentiate within I still think that people don't really know how to draft for these tournament weeks. So because if you have someone who goes for 45 points in week 15, right? You're going to face a tremendous amount of that player the following week, right? Same thing. If you have, let's say Aaron Jones goes for 40 points week 15, you're going to find a lot of Aaron Jones in week 16, but you're not going to find many Aaron Jones with Jefferson teams that following week. So when you draft two explosive players on the same team, as long as your draft capital isn't, you might want to move that down a little bit down the draft board.
Oh, yep.
If you you now have the ability, there's almost going to be no Justin Jefferson left if Aaron Jones goes nuclear. Or a better way to look at it is if Jefferson goes nuclear week 16, you're not going to have many Aaron Jones team week 17. If Jones goes nuclear week 17, you could win a lot of money. So I like drafting them together. They're negative EV. Go ahead. Who do you like here?
We're not quite up.
Okay. It looked like it on the board.
Yeah. No, we're one away. I have Njoku and Ferguson in the queue. Everybody else got wiped out.
I don't even see them in the queue.
Oh, you'll probably have to refresh.
Yeah. I like Njoku, but I don't like Ferguson.
All right, we're taking Njoku. I like him too.
I would. Okay, we're up yet. Njoku's good, and that opens up Watson late. Which if we spend a lot on, I'm not a big Watson guy, but I do like setting up to have some stacks and having a couple options late for that secondary stack. Right. So I really have been doing a lot more because it's negative EV in the same week for the top running back and wide receiver both to go off. But in the nature of best ball, I think it's kind of sneaky.
Yep, definitely. Let me read off our team real quick for those who can't see it. We have Justin Jefferson, round 1, Devon A. Chain, Michael Pittman, Rome Odunze, Anthony Richardson, Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, and David Njoku. So I think that's a nice, it's a pretty balanced start, which I like. Got a couple running backs, got 4 wide receivers, tight end, and a quarterback. So, this is a place where I don't feel like I have to press at any one position.
That's why I always use as one of my tiebreakers, especially when I draft with someone else and we're talking. I like staying positionally neutral if I can. I'm much less likely to try a strategy in situations like this.
Right, exactly. Because then if things go haywire, the rest of the board doesn't let you work your strategy as well as you thought. It becomes a little bit more difficult, especially when you're working with somebody else, to try to figure out how you're going to pivot.
Yeah,
and especially if the draft is moving this fast.
Yeah, this is flying.
Yeah, love it. All right, so we're getting close. You've got a nice queue there. Any names jumping out at you from that queue?
I really like Zamir White. I think the chance that he is a workhorse is a lot stronger than his ADP. I like Xavier Worthy, and I like Cortland Sutton. So we've got only 2 running backs. I think we might be able to come. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's do White here. I think that's a great pick. All right, so Zamir White on the team. Yeah, I like that a lot. So I'm right there with you on him.
Romeo Doubs is he's a guy I have as a caution. And I'm not putting him in the queue because I don't want Watson and Doubs when the quarterback's already gone and the stack's gone.
Okay, yep. And Jamison Williams were to somehow make it back, that could be all right. How do you feel about Josh Downs?
I mean, again, I normally don't take the top two options on a team, but Downs is cheap enough that I'm fine with it.
Okay.
My favorite play right here, though, I think, and I have him as a buy in my ratings or a target. I think Tyjae Spears has fallen 4 rounds on the Tony Pollard signing, and I think that's about 2 rounds too many.
I would definitely agree with that.
I think there's a good chance he ends up being the number 1 by the playoff weeks, and he's very explosive.
Yep, for sure. I also threw Jonathan Brooks in the queue. I like him as a closer. I mean, I think we've got some good early season production. So this is a build where I would entertain Brooks. There are a lot of builds where I probably wouldn't entertain him as much.
And I think Sutton is a huge value.
Yeah.
I mean, if he makes it back, as much as I like Spears, there's later running backs I like.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you on.
He just went.
Just went, of course. All right.
So if you want Brooks, I'm okay with it. I prefer Spears, I like Lockett too. I think we could go. We've got a few different options. Lockett opens up Geno late.
Let's go Spears here. I do like Spears, and I don't have as much of him as I'd like.
Yeah, I've been adding him pretty heavily. When I have a buy, that means I'm trying to really up my ownership on them, because I think that the field is eventually going to figure out that that player is a value. If you're good at this, and history has shown that I'm pretty good at finding a value, the board will even out sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right.
And I also don't mind when you have Achane, who is so volatile, and let's face it, he's kind of a reach, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You're assuming a bigger workload than he might actually end up getting. I don't mind having 4 good running backs by this point.
Yep, totally agree. Achane is an interesting one. He's one that I feel like I have to have some of, but I really wish he was coming about a round later.
Yeah, I think that right from where he's being drafted to the mid-3rd round is kind of a value pick. You're picking someone there that you really wish was later.
Yeah, and out of what you've got on here, I really do like the Hawkinson.
The only thing is position. I mean, that's our 3rd Viking.
It is?
Yeah. I prefer Jaden Daniels here. Or
I can be talked into Daniels. That's a favorite player of mine.
Yeah. So what you do there is now you've got 2 really good running quarterbacks. I don't think you need a 3rd with this build, even in a 20 round. I think it gives you the option of sticking with 2.
Yeah. I will say if Hawkinson comes back to us, I'm going to pound the table for him, because I don't mind having him as a 3rd in that build.
It's funny because he's part of my article this week, because he has gone from a avoid to a caution to a neutral.
Right.
And because his ADP has consistently gone down, now you can draft him where he should have been all along, which is as a high upside 2nd tight end on your team.
Yep.
And I like him here. I didn't think it made sense to go 3 Vikings when we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be.
Oh, you coward, Todd. Come on. Live a little. All right. I've got a couple players in the queue.
Let me refresh.
I think all these fit for one reason or another. I'm probably more excited about Judy or Komet than I am about Corum.
I put Dontavian Wicks in, who's a favorite.
Yeah, I like him. Don't mind him at all.
And I think Jahan Dotson, if Daniels ends up in Washington, Dotson is a stack.
Yeah, and I just did that this afternoon in a live one that I did. I did the Daniels Dotson stack, so that works out nicely. I like the Wicks and Watson stack as well. I think that one's, because you're getting a little bit cheaper than Dubs with Wicks, and if Watson goes down, Wicks is going to basically step right in and kind of take his place.
Wicks is one of my highest owned players, and he is a value to me, maybe even a target. So I think that people feeling, I think the Jaden Reed where do you want to go here, Dan?
All right, Wicks or Dotson, take your pick.
Let's go Dotson.
Okay.
For the stack, and I've got a ton of Wicks.
Yep.
All right, I'll fill the queue.
Yeah. And there is a chance that Wicks might make it back around to us. I don't think it's a big chance, but I've seen it happen. All right, and so what we're looking at for our team so far, we have two quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels, I think very similar in playing style. Running backs, we've got Devon Achane, Aaron Jones, Zamir White, Tyjae Spears. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Michael Pittman, Roma Dunze, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, and tight end David Njoku. So I like how we're sitting with this one. Again, I feel like we're pretty balanced. We have, and I love our quarterbacks. I mean, that to me, those guys stay healthy. That's a very, very dynamic duo.
Yeah, what people don't always understand about running quarterbacks is they assume that they have a high ceiling and a low floor. But if you get 50 yards rushing, you're going to, every week, you're going to have a good floor. Mm-hmm. If you get the passing, you get a high ceiling with the high floor. So we've got two guys one of those two guys every week should get us enough points to be competitive. And we should get enough spike weeks out of them on weeks when one of them has a good passing game. So I am really, and if you add them to Achane and Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, I mean, we've got a lot of spike week potential here.
Yeah, we sure do, and that's what we want in these best balls. Plenty of spike week potential. Consistency doesn't really get you anywhere. It's one reason why I'm not real big on like the Najee Harris, Jalen Warren guys, because they're basically high floor, low ceiling because they're cannibalizing each other constantly. But that you're getting a good 12 to 13 points out of them. They can make sense in some builds if you need some stabilization at running back, but I think we're okay without that.
Yeah.
All right, and I added Deshaun Watson into the queue. Not necessarily sure we want to take a quarterback this early, but he does stack up with Njoku, so it's at least something to keep in the back of our mind.
Well, Wicks made it back to us, so I mean,
yeah, we got to take Wicks.
Yeah, I mean that's just ridiculous.
Yep.
And there's nothing better when you draft is when you are between two guys, and 10 picks later, the second guy is there.
Yes,
and we weren't reaching for him to begin with. I mean, his ADP is 145, and we got him at 151.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm just going to right now apologize to Player Profiler because the speed at which his draft is moving. There's no way I dare try to force an ad in here, so we'll maybe toss one in at the very end. But yeah, it's
or you just force it in with a cut. We could stay quiet for like 2 seconds, and then you could cut it in.
Yeah, I'll let people better than me cut it in there if they want.
Okay.
So That's
Well,
not my strength.
let's give him. Let's just be quiet for 2 seconds so we give him a space.
Okay.
All right. So,
And we're
all right. So I like Roman Wilson. I like Kendre Miller. I mean, Watson, now you're talking 153. I mean, if he makes it back, he's got to be a consideration. And I don't draft a lot of Demario Douglas, but there's a chance that Jaden Daniels ends up in New England. And, so I don't think we need to necessarily add this New England wide receiver, but there's a lot of options, and we should probably cover our bases.
Yeah, and the prices on New England receivers are very depressed too. I mean, basically everyone in New England, it's cheap.
That's because they probably aren't going to do anything,
right? But I'll take a Kendrick Bourne at the in the last pick of the draft if I need.
I've taken some of him.
Yeah, because he's when he's healthy, he's a good guy. He can get you 15 points or so a few weeks, and that's not bad out of your last position.
And I'm going to throw Hunter Henry in the queue because we can use the second tight end.
Yes, and I like him.
And I normally don't draft him, but right now, I mean, Kendre Miller, I really like him.
Yeah, that's becoming a very nice value here for sure. Hunter Henry might make it back to us. Demario Douglas might make it back to us. Kendre Miller, I don't think is going to.
Yeah, if we only go...
Okay, and we're up.
I'm good with Kendre. I think, he's a home run hitter.
Done. Yes. Yeah. I think if he can stay healthy, I mean, we've got Kamara getting nothing but older. So hopefully in this offense, it's going to be a little bit better with the new offensive coordinator. Last year it was hard to watch. And some of the players were productive enough. Kamara was productive enough. Olave was all right, but nobody really wowed us from that offense, and I think they can do better. I think they've got the skill to do better.
So, if one of the Patriots makes it back, I think they're a good pick. There's nobody that I really like, and I haven't drafted them, but with 2 Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we know pretty much that they want this guy, I think J.J. McCarthy, when we get closer to his ADP, is I'm okay only going 2 quarterbacks with this team, but if we take a third, I think J.J. McCarthy makes a lot of sense. So I threw him in the queue, even though we're way too early to take him.
Yeah, I do like that, and I do like having. If I've got 2 quarterbacks who are runners, I don't mind having a third quarterback for sure. Especially with Richardson and Jaden Daniels both being a little bit on the lighter side as far as rushing quarterbacks go. You kind of wish they had a little more meat on their bones, but it is what it is. So don't mind adding a third there at all.
All right, so both of the guys that we kind of liked were gone. Yep. I will tell you, I am a huge fan of Audric Estime. I know that gives us a 6th running back, but in half PPR, I think that guy is a tremendous value. I like Wandale here. I think he is going to be a better player than his ADP.
Let's do Wandale.
Take Wandale?
Yeah, I just got it. We were down to 4 seconds, so.
Yeah, and I think that Estime might make it back to us.
Right. And to me, it just kind of came down to positionally. I'd rather have that extra wide receiver here because I know there's some running backs that I'm totally fine with later on.
There's a lot of wide receivers that I've watched tape on that I like late. Mm-hmm. But I like Wandale. I think that he is I think people think he's not good because of half PPR, but I think he's their best wide receiver, and they know it, and they try and get the ball in his hands.
Right. I'm guessing the Giants are going to try to change that with their number 6 pick. If they don't go for a quarterback, I think it's probably pretty likely they go wide receiver. Don't you think, Todd?
I do. Or a trade back. I wouldn't be shocked either. My hope is if Neighbors is there, they take him. I think you have to move the screen down a little again, Dan.
Yep, I do.
I think Neighbors and Harrison are closer than Neighbors and Odunze. So I really don't want them to take Odunze at 6, but I know you would disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I have Neighbors and Harrison, with a decent gap ahead of Odunze, but I have Odunze with a bigger gap ahead of whoever you want to put in at number 4 receiver than he is away from Neighbors and Harrison. So he's closer to the top 2 than he is to being a wide receiver 4 in this class.
I've got Thomas and Troy Franklin closer to Odunze than most. All right, let's see. So Estime went. You want to take J.J. McCarthy? He ain't going to make it back.
I think that's the move here. We take McCarthy here. We're gonna have to hit another probably 2 tight ends.
We still only have one. Oh my gosh, I didn't notice that. I in my brain we had taken the second one. The good thing is that there are some late tight ends that I really like. I don't really want Tucker Kraft, but he's so cheap now.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw Noah Fant in there. I think Fant is finally in a place where he can thrive a little bit again. He's not going to be one of the top 2 targets on the team unless things really break crazy. But I do think that he could be the 3rd target on this team. And, with his athleticism, I think he can do some real damage with his targets. If he can get himself up to about 80, 85 targets, this is going to, Fant would be a huge pick.
Okay. You've got a different. I mix Fant in, but it's so easy for me to wait and take Greg Dulcich, who is, to me, talent-wise, he should be. If he had been healthy last year, he's a 12th, 11th, 12th, 13th round pick. He wasn't healthy, so you can get him in the last round. Is there risk? Yeah. Do I care with him going where he's going? No. I think Dulcich is a super talented guy, and on a team that needs people talented to throw the ball to.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there is some danger that they could end up going Bowers, and also we've got to worry about, and of course Fant went. Okay. I love Ray Davis and Javon Baker. I like Javon Baker. Let's go Baker.
Javon Baker is probably my most owned player right now. I loved his tape.
Yeah, he's an easy watch for sure.
All right, so I'm going to take the 2 wide receivers that I had in the queue out of the queue.
Yep.
And I wonder if anybody is in this draft listening to us, because a large amount of people that we talked about have gone ahead of us, a little more than what you would have guessed. But perhaps that's just my imagination.
Yeah, I wouldn't totally discount it, but we'll see. The nice thing is when we joined, there was almost everybody was already in it, so the odds nobody's listening.
That's true.
That said, it can always happen.
We have gotten sniped a few times.
Yeah, I'm throwing Shipley in the queue as well. I really like him a lot.
I'm not a fan. I think he's okay. I don't think he's bad, but I wouldn't take him over our tight end 2 or 3 need.
Right. Yeah, we've got to get the tight end position addressed here. Ertz is gone. Gesicki just went.
And I'm not a huge Ertz guy at this point, but I wanted him because of the possible stack.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I don't love taking Waller because I think it's likely that he retires, but this late, it would be a home run pick for sure. But we'll see what happens. We have Sanders, Dulcich. I put Sinnott and Waller in as tight ends. I'm guessing you would prefer to go Dulcich, or would you rather wait?
I think I like Sanders.
You like Sanders? Okay,
he's my number 2 tight end.
All right, so let's go Sanders here, and we should be able to pick up Dulcich on the next time around.
I think
Sanders just went, of course.
Of course. Well, then why don't we swing for the fences and take Waller?
All right, I'm in for it.
Then we'll take a third guy that actually, plays. But Waller, there's nobody. I'm okay with Sinnott if you want, but Waller. This team needs some help at tight end. I'm willing to roll the dice that Waller plays.
Yeah. I think that's a good move for this team because we've kind of farted around at tight end, and we've also gotten sniped about 15 times. So
I'm going to put Sinnott and Dulcich in. We've got a 3-5-8-2. I'm okay with stopping at 5 at running back because there's nobody. The only guy that I just put the only 2 guys that I really kind of like that are still out there. At wide receiver, I'm throwing Dortch in there, Johnny Wilson in there, and one of my most owned players. I can take him almost every 20th round. One of my favorite tapes, Jacob Cowing, highly productive receiver. I always say I don't know if there's a Tank Dell in this draft, but if there is, it's Jacob Cowing.
There you go. All right, and I also added Justice Hill in. I think he's a sneaky pick.
I'm okay with him.
Because, Keaton Mitchell might not be back until the middle of the season, and maybe not even then. Hill is just a guy that fits well in that offense. If anything happens to Derrick Henry, Justice Hill is going to get a ton of work. And that's with or without Keaton Mitchell.
And I think they like him.
They do.
I think they've talked very positively about him. I'm afraid that we just lost. Did Cowing go? No. Yeah, he disappeared from the queue. But I think we got to go tight end.
Tight end next for sure.
Yeah, and then probably running back.
Yeah. I think running back I think we're okay at wide receiver. Looking at our receivers, we've got Justin Jefferson, Michael Pittman, Roma Dunze, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, Dontavian Wicks, Wandale Robinson, Javon Baker.
Oh, we're up. So let's take Dulcich or send it.
Yep, do it.
Sinnott might have made a little. You can't count on either of them playing this year that much, but.
Right. Yeah, so with Waller, I think Dulcich probably fits just a little bit better. But yeah, Sinnott, it all depends on, where he goes and, what the target tree in front of him is like, because he could be, he could actually be a really good player, or he could be struggling to get targets. Dulcich, I think, as long as he avoids Bowers, is probably going to get a pretty good number of targets.
Yeah. And I threw two more running back names in the queue. Tank Bigsby.
Yes.
And Cody Schrader I liked Cody Schrader's tape a decent amount. I think he's a good third down back, but he had a terrible combine.
Yeah. Yes. Totally agree. The tape on him looks really nice. So I agree with that. And, the question is whether he can find a place where he can get the playing time this year.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the wide receivers more than anyone but. I'm okay with Bigsby and Hill, or just rolling the dice with the five we have. I mean, Aaron Jones, Zamir White, and Spears all have a good role, and Achan is Achan. So I mean, I'm okay with Hill or Bigsby if they make it, and if they don't, going. Did you get to see Cowling at all?
Yeah, Cowling would be a good pick if Hill or Bigsby don't make it here, I think.
Yeah, I'm shocked. He had a great combine. He was very productive in college, and no one wants him.
Right. All right. So Bigsby went. So we have
Hill and Cowling. So I think Hill is the pick, but it's up to you.
Yeah. Hill is the pick. Boom. There it goes. Okay. So that rounds out our team. We have at quarterback Anthony Richardson, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy. At running back, we have Devon Achan, Aaron Jones, Zamir White, Tyjae Spears, Kendre Miller, Justice Hill. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, Michael Pittman, Rome Odunze, Christian Watson, Jahan Dotson, Dontavian Wicks, Wandale Robinson, Javon Baker, and then tight end, we've got Njoku, Darren Waller, and Greg Dulcich. And I like that we've got a decent amount of NFC North, so we should have a little bit of, some stacks working together. We don't know exactly which weeks, but, with Green Bay and Minnesota, you can bet that they're going to be playing sometime weeks 15, 16, or 17.
Yeah, and Underdog just switched to 1 hour on slow drafts, like right from like 10 hours to 1 hour. So I am going to hate life for the next couple days while these drafts fix. I only have like 5 or 6, but still I'm going to hate it.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Yeah, I quit entering as soon as it dropped down to the 4-hour clock. Actually, before that, and so all of mine just finished up today before it switched over to the 1-hour clock. So, very, very happy with that.
Well, Dan, I really appreciate you having me on. Hopefully, we drafted a winner. It would be cool if you could mark the team as our team.
Yes, I definitely will.
Just so that you can update me if we're doing anything.
Yep, for sure. We'll do that. And thanks for coming on, Todd. Really appreciate it. We are missing Bradley. He's got a healthy, happy newborn. Wanted to give him another week off to be able to get into that dad life and get all that bedtime stuff down. You know how it is the first couple weeks. It's
his 8th kid?
Only the 5th, Todd. Only the 5th. But
sorry.
Yeah,
he's leaving to go to the NFL draft. Not that I blame him.
Yes, he doesn't really have to go anywhere. I mean, he's right there in that area. So, but yes, he's very prolific. So, without a doubt, we're looking forward to him coming back. I'll actually be gone for the next couple of weeks. I will be off in London, England, for the next 2 weeks or so, with a little bit of time in Paris as well. So looking forward to that trip. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So, so it'll be Bradley with another guest for a couple weeks, and then I'll be right back at it with him. So again, Todd, thanks for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. And we're going to get everybody out of here. So thanks for joining us. Have a good night.